Greetings. My name is Paul Phaneuf, and I am very happy to be here with you. I have a thought that I would like to share that's been on my mind for decades. And I'll tell you what it is in just a moment. But first, I'd like to tell you why it's something that has bothered me. I have 13 grandchildren, 2 daughters here in Arkansas, another back in New England. 11 of my 13 grandchildren were born and brought up here in Fayetteville, and 2 of my great-grandchildren were born here in Fayetteville. And this issue that concerns me bothers me because I care about what kind of a world I'm going to live and leave for them. Now, the reality is that I was thinking about this kind of thing before I even had any children. I was a member of the Libertarian Party in 1972, and like I said, I've been an activist ever since. One of the things that I've heard many, many times, and it bothers me because of its implications, is when I talk to people about important issues, particularly around election time, and I hear people say, I'm not voting. The significance of not voting is enormous. Now, what I've basically found is that people have 3 reasons that they don't vote. The first one is, and we've all heard this, that my vote doesn't count. Now, I kind of understand this because actually, statistically, when you look at the numbers, how many elections have been decided by 1 vote? Well, the fact of the matter is there were very few. There have been some, so the argument can be made your 1 vote statistically does count. But it's not something that really motivates us any more than the prospect of buying a lottery ticket comes with an expectation that we'll win the lottery. But the implications of what happens when you decide that your 1 vote doesn't matter extend far out beyond you. If you and I decide not to vote, the one thing that is common to human beings is that we don't want other people to think poorly of us. So we naturally justify the decisions and the actions that we take. So while you and I may have made the decision that we are not going to vote, we're not going around telling people what a bad idea we think it is. We are going around telling people why we've decided that our 1 vote doesn't count. And what we literally do is we poison the attitudes of our fellow citizens. And we end up impacting the decisions that other people make. And rather than elevating the discourse and encouraging people, we actually discourage people. And I think that this is an enormous mistake that has long-term implications. The second reason that I have found that people don't vote is that they're discouraged. They're sick and tired of voting for people that say one thing and do another. Well, I can relate to that because I too often get discouraged. You know, C.S. Lewis wrote a book called the Screwtape Letters. And the main character in the book is named Screwtape, and he is the devil. And he tells one of his minions that his favorite tool is discouragement, because it is the most effective thing that he can do to influence individual men and women. So I want to invite you not to be discouraged, because in being discouraged, if you make the decision that you're not going to vote, what you are doing is you are losing by default. Surrender is what happens when you don't vote. And you don't gain, your culture doesn't gain, your community doesn't gain, your progeny don't gain. There are no advantages to losing by default. The third reason that I found that people don't vote is that they've moved beyond discouragement and into profound disgust. They feel like nothing that they do matters. They feel like they can't make a difference. They're sick and tired of seeing politicians say one thing and do another, and they get angry. Again, I really feel that this is a normal kind of human response, but what it does is it guarantees that we will lose. And it extends that whole concept of polluting the environment that we need to protect, which is an environment where constitutional government, where liberty, where the traditional values of the founding fathers of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness have a chance to succeed and continue and be passed on to the next generation. As Ronald Reagan once said, he said, we're always just one generation away from losing freedom. And I know I don't want it to be my generation that loses freedom. So whether it's because your vote doesn't count, or you're discouraged, or you're disgusted, I'd like to remind you of something that's really, really important. The Founding Fathers paid the blood price so that we could vote. Through the years, we've had men and women die in combat to protect our right to vote, to protect our freedom. And what I would like to suggest is that if we really want to honor the people who are willing to die for freedom, then we need to be willing to live for freedom. That means deal with some discouragement. It means deal with fatigue. It means let yourself be inconvenienced. And I'll tell you what, if you're one of those folks that's disgusted, it's time for you to become an activist and make a difference, because action cures emotional lethargy like nothing else. Listen, I hope that you'll make the decision to get out and vote. I don't care what side of the issue you're on. Your vote does count. Your attitude does count. And the future of freedom in our nation, in our state, in our local community is impacted by your decision. So please get out and vote. My name is Paul Phaneuf. I'm running for alderman in Ward 1 in Fayetteville. Naturally, I would ask you for your support. I hope that when you get into the voting booth that you'll remember Paul and vote for me. In the meantime, thank you for spending a few minutes with me. I'll be back, and I look forward to seeing you then.